Our next speaker is an entrepreneur in the environmental sustainability and real estate fields. He's a member of the class of 2014, Zach Goldman.
All right. So, everybody's had a chance to have a couple of drinks? Because I've been told that I'm a lot more charming once you've done that. All right. So, I'd like to begin with a visualization exercise. Picture an environmentalist. Now, you might imagine somebody who looks somebody like this, literally hugging a tree. Now, picture a private equity capitalist. Somebody like, say, Henry Kravitz of KKR. Just look at that smiling face for a second there. Now, you might not think that these two people have a whole lot in common, but in fact, they both share an interest in promoting sustainable business practices. That's why I'm very excited to talk to you tonight about why private equity fund managers should go green. So, quick preliminary. Private equity is, of course, an asset class that takes large ownership positions in privately held companies. Why do we care about it? Two reasons. Scale. These funds own the companies that employ something like 1 in 10 Americans. KKR alone has a $400 billion transaction history. We're talking about a huge component of the American economy. Two, influence. These funds own large portions of the companies they invest in. They have the ability to exert greater influence over management than is true in many other forms of ownership. So that's why I think private equity is pretty cool. What about going green? You know, we're all familiar with the environmental reasons why we should care about sustainability. But let me ask you another question. Do you think that Henry Kravitz cares about this polar bear? I'm going to lean out on a limb, and I'm going to say no. No, he does not. And for the purposes of this presentation, neither do we. We're going to cast him adrift, and we're going to think about the 3 reasons why a fund manager should care about sustainability. The first is to make money by improving the operating efficiency of the companies in their portfolios. The second reason is to make money by improving their investment decision-making processes. And the third reason, and let me tell you, it's going to be a real shocker, is to make money by improving their relationships with their limited partners and attracting more capital to invest. So we've got 3 big, bright, green, beautiful dollar signs. How do we capture them? I want to give you a couple of examples of funds that have been at the leading edge of using sustainability as a competitive advantage. And I want to give you some actions that the rest of the private equity community should think about. We're going to start with Kravitz's fund, with KKR. It's been around for a long time. In 2008, they launched a program called the Green Portfolio. What they did was they took 5 environmental metrics and applied them to companies that they owned. You know, not necessarily green companies in any way, shape, or form, simply companies that they owned large portions of. And they used these metrics to identify cost-saving measures. One of these companies was US Foods, large distributor of, as the name implies, food. KKR came in and said, look guys, we want to use greenhouse gas emissions as a metric to review your operations. They did that. They took a look at the whole company, and they found a whole bunch of stuff that could have been done. They changed out lighting. They rethought refrigeration. They looked even at how the trucks were routed. And since 2008, they've saved US Foods $36 million. It's a big chunk from a green initiative. But Henry Kravitz is worth $4 billion. Yeah, for $36 million, like he could turn over his couch and find that much money. I don't have $36 million on my couch, unfortunately. So what did they do? They scaled the program. You know, from 4 companies in 2008, there's now 25 companies in the green portfolio. And between 2008 and 2011, KKR realized $644 million in cost savings through their green initiatives. That number continues to grow. Sustainability has been a very effective cost-cutting tool in this context. So, $644 million is a pretty big number. But I want to give you a bigger number. $95 billion. The Deepwater Horizon disaster cost BP investors in 2010. It literally halved the market capitalization of the company at one point. Now, private equity folks, they're smart. BP is a publicly traded company. If you're a private equity investor, you do not want to get stuck taking a bite out of that particular type of sandwich. So what do? They create sophisticated due diligence tools, investment decision-making tools, which allow them to use sustainability to generate value before they ever make the buy. Let me give you an example. The Carlyle Group. Carlyle is another big private equity fund, respected, been around for a long time. A few years ago, they created a tool called the Eco Value Screen. They did exactly that. They thought about sustainability not only from a risk management perspective, but from a cost-cutting and revenue growth perspective before they ever bought the company. They looked at a company called China Fishery. China Fishery, as the name implies, based in China, engages in fishing operations. Carlyle, they used the Eco Value Screen. They came in, they sat down and said, look, China Fishery, with us as your owners, we want you to find a new environmental NGO partner, and we want you to pursue Marine Stewardship Council certification. It's a sustainability certification for the fishing industry. Now, why do we want you to do this? Well, other than the fact that it'll make for a nice, beautiful press release, you're trying to expand your operations into South America. And this positioning will facilitate you getting licenses that you need. It's also going to help you to sell your fish into more sustainability conscious markets. And we were able to determine all this before we ever made the buy by using this due diligence tool that we've created. Oh, we're skipping slides there. So a few reasons, a couple examples of funds that have effectively been at the leading edge of sustainability as a competitive advantage. But there's a lot more to be done out there. And I want to leave behind 3 actions that the rest of the private equity community should consider to capture this trend. First, engage your portfolio companies. If you're a private equity fund manager, sit down with the executives of the firms that you own, work with them to go after the low-hanging fruit, capture the cost savings, similar to what KKR has done with the green portfolio. There's a lot of money left on the table. 2, underwrite for sustainability. Work these considerations into your due diligence process, and you'll find that you're able to make smarter investment decisions. And 3, communicate. Communicate with your limited partners. The big institutional pension funds and other groups which fund private equity funds are increasingly concerned about social and environmental accountability. If you can exceed their expectations, you will find that it's easier to attract capital to invest, and you'll learn, as Henry Kravitz has learned, that responsible investment is not just the right thing to do, it is also essential for smart investing. Thank you.